Hey everyone, Bandit here. Welcome back to the channel. We're back in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. And for today's video, as you can see, we're in the recently released Boeing 707 by working title iniBuilds. I tried to do this stream yesterday, but I set it up incorrectly and it was a unlisted stream. So anyway, I figured that out as I got into it, just aborted it. So I'm going to try to do it again today. We're get back to doing the barren trip to Alaska momentarily, but I couldn't resist flying this airplane. It came out recently. It was updated from the previous version of the 707, which wasn't a very popular airplane in the sim, but this new version was recently released, is looking pretty good. I picked it up, just did a rental for it for a couple of bucks, and then thought I'd try it out first because I was a little skeptical at first. And then once I did one flight in it, it was a no-brainer. I just went and bought it right away, and the price is right too. I mean, if you own the premium deluxe version of the sim, which I do, it was only $10 US. So can't go wrong with that. And I think it's just $15 if you don't own it. So definitely a great add-on for the sim here. So we're going to simulate, go back to 1965 and simulate a real-world Qantas flight from Christchurch, New Zealand up to Sydney. And I think Qantas launched this service in the mid-60s, flying the 707. So a great way to get into the airplane and put it through its paces. So without further ado, let's hop inside and get going. If you're new to the channel, take time, hit the subscribe button, sign up for notifications, and you'll see videos like this when I put them out in the future. So welcome aboard. So for this version, I'm going to be flying with the INS system. So let's get it on here. I got it set to instant align. And so once you get the align ready light, you can put it into nav mode. And I'm going to make extensive use of the flight engineer today. I've already had him do the cockpit preparation checklist. As you can see, he ran through 58 steps to complete the cockpit preparation. So we got the APU running right now, and we got the airplane all powered up, ready to get things set up. So a couple things I'll show you. We have the CEVA INS, we're going to be using that, and we have nothing loaded in right now, so that you have this tab here for that. You have the flight engineer tab, you have a doors tab, a data card tab, we'll get into that a little later on, an options tab. Basically various options right here. I'm not going to go through them all, but really just basic stuff that you see in most tablets. So this is in the standard tablet, and you have to go to the Boeing 707 tab to get all this stuff here. So again, I had the flight engineer run through the check, and you'll see the subsequent checks that we're going to use him for as well. Makes life a lot easier, especially when you have all these controls that have to be done here, flight engineer panel and everything. So it's kind of realistic to have the flight engineer do this for you. Okay, so let's talk about loading the airplane first. So if you run a SimBrief profile, so I recommend with this livery I got from flightsim.to. There's quite a few liveries starting to pop up now, so awesome livery, you can pick it up. And I also recommend, if you go to flightsim.to, is getting the SimBrief profile and adding it to your SimBrief account, and then also getting the GSX profile. So I'll get the plane loaded up here, get the boarding going while we're so for the boarding, it's recommended to not use a parking spot with a gate. Just use a open parking spot. That way you can get everything loaded up. I doubt this plane used the gate in the past, especially in the 60s. It was probably all stairs boarding at the time. So. Okay, so we got the boarding going. Next thing you want to do is, if you have your SimBrief profile, if you set up through the Navigraph Hub your SimBrief dispatch in the tablet, then this is a great way to load your aircraft up. You just go in, you got your latest flight here, you just view flight. And we've got our route up here, our flight, but the nice thing up here is you've got the import route and import weights. So first thing we're going to do is import the weights. And you can see it loaded up the airplane nicely. And if I go back to the aircraft tab, so if you didn't do it that way, you'd have to load up your aircraft manually. So I'll go with the payload here. And if we go to the flight performance, mass and balance, so we have 114 passengers, and so we've loaded that up. So you can just do this manually, or you can just do this brief import, and it'll load everything for you. The cargo, it loaded 7,300 pounds of cargo, and for the fuel, we need 48,000 pounds of fuel. And you can see we have 48,000 pounds of fuel. So that's all done. So the aircraft is loaded. And next thing you can do is you go back to your SimBrief dispatch, and you can import your routes. So here's our route. It's just Vanda. It's November 750 to Pluga, and then Rickney, November 744 to Marlin, and then direct TSAT. So if we import the route, that's going to import the data for the flight today. And nice thing about that, if we go back to the Boeing tab, and we go back to the SIVA, and you can see all the waypoints have been imported and added into our INS, so we don't have to put them in manually. Saves a lot of time. Otherwise, you have to go through, and we'll look at doing one of these when we're airborne. But basically, you have to go through each waypoint, and you have to. So if I go to the waypoints, you'd have to put them in all manually. 0 is you don't put anything in 0. It's the waypoint that it uses for direct twos. So if you go direct to, or you want to go direct to a waypoint like 0 to 1 or 0 to 2, then 0 is going to use your present position when you set that up. So you got waypoints 1 through 9 that you can load. You can see we've loaded them up, and we haven't got anything in waypoint 9. It's empty. So we can't put something in that if we need to later on. So they're all preloaded for you. Saves a lot of time. It's a nice way to do it. And you can just do that by importing it into your flight. Okay, so that is done. Next, let's get some, and here's our route today. You can see we just got the few waypoints: Van Helen, Booked, Agla, Rickney, Marlin, and then TSAT. Don't put, you can't load arrivals or departures into this INS. You can, but you have to do it manually, waypoint by waypoint. So I just didn't add any departure or arrival for this flight plan route. We'll just come in and hopefully get just radar vectors coming into Sydney. Just looking at the weather real quick. It's nice here in Sydney, only 6 degrees, light winds out of the west. Or sorry, in Christchurch. In Sydney, it is light winds out of the north, and just some broken cloud. Looks like it's going to be nice there. Sydney head does have some chance of rain showers a little later on, so we'll see what it's like when we get there. So this was a real-world flight they did back in 1965. Obviously, this is the modern airport, but a little hard to go back and find a 1965 version of this airport. Okay, so I think we have our route in there, so let's get some ATIS.
Transition level 150, advise on initial contact, you have information kilo. Christchurch Airport information kilo 19 8 Zulu, surface wind 200 degrees 7 knots, visibility 10 kilometers or more, no clouds detected, temperature 06 degrees, dew point 02 degrees, QNH 102 tree, landing and departing runway 20, transition level 150, advise on initial contact, you have information kilo.
So we have kilo, QNH is 1023.
19 8 Zulu, surface wind 200 degrees 7 knots, visibility 10 kilometers or more, no clouds detected, temperature 06 degrees, dew point 02 degrees, QNH 102 tree, landing and departing runway 20, transition level 150, advise on initial contact, you have information kilo.
Okay, so we'll go get our clearance with kilo. Runway 20.
Christchurch delivery, Qantas 139 heavy, Boeing 707-300, Cargo November 10 Papa, request IFR clearance to City, information kilo.
Qantas 139 Heavy, Christchurch delivery, cleared to Sydney Airport, runway 20 after departure radar vectors Vanda, climb to 6,000 feet, squawk 6623.
Cleared to Sydney Airport, runway 20 after departure radar vectors Vanda, climb to 6,000 feet, squawk 6623, Qantas 139 Heavy.
Qantas 139 Heavy, read back correct. Contact ground 121.90 when ready for pushback or engine start.
We'll contact ground 121.90 when ready for pushback or engine start. Qantas 139 Heavy, thanks.
Okay, runway 20, runway heading 6,000 feet. We have 6,000 feet. Squawk 6623. Inspect radar vectors to our first fix. So we'll put 6623. That's ready to go. It's in standby. Our flight engineer will load it up for us. And our runway heading off of, so we'll go to our route here. We'll get the Christchurch, the airport map. We're going to be taking off runway 20. And it's 196 on the heading. Put that in. We have 196 on our heading. So runway heading up to 6,000 and radar vectors to Vanda, which is our first waypoint in our route here. There's Vanda right there. Okay, so that is all set. Now, one thing you'll have to note for this is when you go on here and you're looking for your track information, your tracks are all going to be true. So you're going to have to convert them to a magnetic heading, and the best way to do that is just to go into your flight plan, get your raw. So when you got your route, so you've got Vanda to, so we got the airport to, so we've got the magnetic track and the true track. So magnetic track you can see is true track is 293. Our magnetic track we're going to fly is 068. So our initial track out of here is going to be 268. So we can have that ready to go. And if you don't have the route, you just need to go find the variation for where you are and convert whatever true track is by, in this case, subtracting the variation. So the variation here is about 25 degrees, and you can get that from the airport diagram chart for Christchurch, but then it's going to change as we move along. Okay, so we've got our magnetic track in there, 268, true track 293 looks good, and the distance for the first leg is 154, and should have that up here as well for the distance on here. Distance 102 to top of climb, and 59, so it'll be 162, so a little bit off there. Close enough though. Okay, so we have our aircraft all set up to go. Boarding is getting underway. So we'll go back to the ground chart here. Have that ready to go. And we're parked right up here, so it's going to be taxiing Alpha 2 probably up for runway 20. Next thing we need to do is go to our Boeing chart here, and we're going to do our data card. So this is the min runway length for this weight, and 5750 for the conditions that we're at. And so we're going to set our bugs, and that's more than enough for this runway. It's about 10,000, over 10,000 feet long, I think. We'll set our trims. So V1's going to be 128, 133, 149. So there we have V1, VR, ready to go. And 149 set for our speed bug. So this is a speed bug that you just set with the dial here, just a reference bug. We'll talk about that later when we get going well. So I think everything is all set. Now to make use of the flight engineer, we'll get the flight engineer to run through as we're finishing boarding up here. Run through a before start checklist, and then we'll be ready to call for the start. So you select the checklist you want to run. You can see it's listed here, before start flow. There's 29 steps, and then you just select run, and then the engineer will run all the steps.
Battery switch on. Emergency exit lights armed. Passenger signs on. Emergency flaps guard closed and off. Anti-skid switch on. Spoiler and rudder test guards closed. Compass controllers slaved. Instrument source switch
Move the seat
set
back.
to instrument.
It's in your way of your
Attitude
view.
source switch set to 1. Transponder on. Transponder altitude reporting set to 1. Weather radar mode set to standby. Yaw damper checked and on. Window heat set to low. Engine start levers cut off. Parking brake set. Rudder and aileron trim free and zero. Fuel boost pumps is on. Crossfeed selectors 1, 3, and 4 is closed. Crossfeed selector 2 open. Air conditioning off. Galley power is turned off. Start pressure available. Wheel well light off. Beacon and navigation lights on. Wing isolation valves is open. Engine starter guards is open. Before start checklist completed.
Okay, we'll see how our boarding's going. I think we just got a few bags, or a bit of cargo to load up here, so in a few minutes. So while we're doing that, let's talk about the autopilot system on this airplane. So your autopilot panel is down here. So you have an autopilot panel, and then you have a flight director panel for the captain and the first officer. Now they're very independent of each other. What you have selected on the flight director panel is going to give you the guidance cues, but it's not going to be what the autopilot flies. The autopilot is going to fly whatever you have selected here. So if you have this in heading and you have this in nav, the autopilot will fly nav, but your flight director cue will show whatever you have for your heading bug. So it can be kind of tricky to make sure that you have these synced up properly. Same thing for altitude hold. If you want to hold your altitude, you select altitude hold here, and it will hold your altitude. But then the pitch command is not going to be on unless you select the altitude hold on for pitch command here. Otherwise, your pitch command is going to be whatever you set on this pitch wheel. So it's kind of tricky that way. They're very independent. And to help you with that too, they have 2 light systems. So you have your flight director enunciators and your autopilot enunciators. So obviously, if you want to fly nav, you want to make sure that you both have nav lights on. Same thing with heading. So they need to be kind of aligned in order to make sure that your flight director and your autopilot guidance are going to be the same. Like I said, they're independent, and you'll kind of see that as we do the flight today. So really important to understand how that works. And for your autopilot, you basically, when you engage it, it's going to be manual mode, whatever pitch you have, and then you can adjust your pitch up and down with this pitch wheel, and it's going to adjust your vertical speed. There's no auto throttle in this, so all thrust is going to be manual. And yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty basic autopilot. I've got the altitude alerter set up for this, so we're just going to get altitude alerts for those altitudes, but we'll have to physically go in and engage the autopilot alt hold. You can, as one of the options, select for altitude pre-selector, so it will actually level off for you, but I just have the alerter set on the settings here. Okay, I think yeah, one more tablet to go, one more pallet to go, and then we'll be loaded up, and we'll get up on our way. So we're going to be cruising at 32,000 feet. The flying time is 2 hours and 38 minutes. I'll increase the sim rate once we get airborne, just to save a little bit of time for today's flight. It flies pretty good up to 4 times sim rate. I wouldn't go much beyond that, though. You'll see that once we get in the airborne. It gets a little jittery sometimes even at 4. Yeah, while we're waiting to finish loading up here, we'll just talk about, there's some really cool, I was doing a little bit of research, and there's some really cool flights you can do with this airplane here. I looked up, Qantas used to, when they got these planes in the late 50s, I think, early 60s, they used to fly a route from Sydney to London, and it was basically the route would be Sydney to Darwin would be one leg, Darwin to Singapore, Bangkok, then Calcutta, then Karachi, Bahrain, Cairo, Rome, and London. So that was the how you had to fly in this plane from Sydney to London, and it was probably about a 3-day trip, 3 or 4 day trip. So be a good route to fly. And also Pan Am did some awesome flights around the world with this too. They used to fly circumnavigate the globe, so they did an eastbound and a westbound flight. It was Pan Am 1 or Clipper 1 and Clipper 2, and if you're going eastbound, you went from New York to London, then to Frankfurt, then Istanbul, Beirut, Karachi, Delhi, Bangkok, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Honolulu, and then San Francisco, and then back to New York. And then you did the opposite, going the other way. And yeah, so some real cool trips you could do with this airplane. Okay, so I think we are all loaded up, so let's get GSX to get rid of all that equipment. And we'll request a startup only with
Qantas
ATC.
139 heavy, request engine start.
Qantas 139 heavy, engine start approved. Call when ready for taxi.
Vehicle startup approved, Qantas 139 heavy.
Okay, so back to the engineer page. He's done all the pre-start checklists, so next is the after-start checklist. So we have to do the start ourselves. And basically you have your start switches up here, so you're going to, we'll start number 3, 4, 2, 1. And basically you go into ground start with the switch, and then you're going to look for 15% on the N2, and then you're going to raise the start lever up to start. And then at 50, you're going to raise it up to idle, and then you'll start each engine subsequently that way. And the engineer will make all the callouts for you, so it's nice and easy. So we'll start off by starting number 3 engine.
Engine start valve open.
So you can see we got rotation there. And in the pre-start checklist, the engineer is configured like the bleed air for the APU.
N2, lever to start.
So he tells you we're at 15%, so we go lever to start. We'll get a light off.
Oil pressure rising.
Hey Oscar, hello, sorry, just joining the chat there. Thanks for joining me.
Starter release.
Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you picked up this airplane, how you like it so far. So the starter's cut out, we're going to look for 50%, going for
50%
number
N2, lever to idle.
lever to idle. And the starter's cut out, so we can guard that switch up, and we can start the next engine.
Engine start valve open.
Oh, thanks for subscribing, Oscar. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, I'm just doing this one of flight in the 707.
N2, lever to start.
Just came out and really having a lot of fun flying it.
Oil pressure rising.
New Zealand
Starter
771 Mike, taxi to ramp 8 via Alpha 6 Alpha, Foxtrot, cross runway 11. Taxi to ramp 8 via Alpha 6 Alpha, Foxtrot, cross runway 11, New Zealand
50%
771
N2,
Mike.
lever to idle.
Go up to idle. for that start. Okay, and we'll start number 2.
Engine start valve open.
It's amazing, this plane was built in the 50s and so much stuff has carried over even to the Boeing
15%
737
lever
NG,
to start.
like the trim wheel, the thrust levers look very similar. Speed brake is probably the exact same speed brake that's used in the NG. Trim wheel, trim cutout switches, parking brake lever. Okay, we'll get this up to start.
Oil pressure rising.
The flight is
Starter release.
2 hours and 38 minutes airtime. I'm going to go a little bit faster though. Once we get airborne and up to cruise altitude, I'm going to put it in 4 times sim rate,
50%
which will,
N2. Lever to idle.
so it'll probably take us about an hour and a half or so. Okay, good start on number 2. And we'll start number
Engine start
1.
valve open. %, N2. Lever to start.
Got a light off there.
Oil pressure rising. Starter release.
Yeah, so having this flight engineer is really
50%
helpful.
N2. Lever to
Saves a
idle.
lot of time.
New Zealand 842 Mike, ramp 11, request pushback and engine start.
Okay, perfect. So we got 4 good starts. So now we'll go get the engineer to do the after start checklist.
Start checklist. Engine start switches. Off and guarded. Engine start levers. Set to idle. AQ bleed valve. Closed. Engine generators.
If we go over to the flight engineer panel, you can see him making
Check
switches
and
here.
on. Essential power selector. Set to 3. Engine 2, 3, and 4 turbo compressors.
New Zealand
Started
842
and
Mike,
checked.
Christchurch ground,
Galley
pushback and
power.
engine start approved.
On.
Face southwest.
Fuel
Pushback
boost
approved,
pumps.
face southwest. New Zealand 842
Is on.
Mike.
AC auxiliary pump 2. On. Hydraulic pumps. Checked and on. Interconnect valve. Off. Air conditioning. On. APU master switch is turned off. Doors. Verify closed. After start checklist. Completed.
Okay, so you see all these switches were made on the engineer panel. It's really helpful to be able to do that, not have to do it yourself. But if you want to, you can actually go into the tablet here. There's a checklist, and it will have all the checklists in pretty good detail. So like the engine start procedure, the after start checklist would be here. Taxi checklist, so you could actually perform all these checklists yourself. The cell anti-ice, you can check on and off, and then find all the switches yourself, and then do them yourself. So totally optional how you want to do it. Personally, I like the flight engineer way of doing it for this plane, because it's a lot of moving around the cockpit to find the various switches and stuff like that. So makes it a lot easier.
New Zealand 842 Mike, taxi to holding
Okay, so we'll go back. We'll call up for our taxi.
Taxi to holding point Alpha 2, runway 20 via Foxtrot Alpha. New Zealand 842 Mike.
Qantas 139 heavy ready to taxi to the active.
And that's our call sign, Qantas 139.
heavy, taxi to holding point Alpha 2, runway 20 via Alpha.
Taxi to holding point Alpha 2, runway 20 via Alpha, Qantas 139 heavy.
Okay, so we're right here. We'll just head out, right turn on Alpha, and then down to Alpha 2, and looks like we're good to go. So we'll get the engineer to start the taxi checklist.
Taxi checklist. Taxi lights. On. Essential power selector.
So while he's doing that, I'll get the brakes off.
Probe heat.
A little bit of power. Get moving here.
Transponder. On. Speed brake lever. Pull forward. Galley power. On.
Great looking airplane. Look at the size of that wing too.
2-3. Taxi checklist. Completed.
Okay, awesome. So he's completed that. I think we'll go slow, let that Dash 8 or Q400 ahead of us there. I think he's heading out for 20. Or ATR. Yeah, the plane handles on the ground pretty nice, I think. When it's fully loaded, it takes a little bit of thrust to get it going. We're not too heavy today because we're only doing about a 2-hour, 30-minute flight, but okay, so speed bugs are set, trim is set. We're navigating right now waypoint 0 to 1, which is our first waypoint, so that's what's in the track bar. I need to put the navigation source on. We have a VOR or nav down here or VOR log, so we have to have it on nav. And that will give us our course, and 268 is our course we're going to initially fly. I'm just going to hand fly initially. So when I set the power, there's an option in the thing where you can have the engineer, flight engineer options. So he'll give us takeoff and climb throttle assistance. So we have we go to our data card here. We have our thrust settings, normal EPR, climb EPR. So he's going to set those EPRs up here on the, and there'll be different bugs for the different bases there. So that's helpful as well with the climb. Otherwise, we have to control the throttle ourselves. So when we level off, we'll have to set our thrust. And same thing for the descent. Beautiful morning here in
Over to Tower 118.4, Qantas 139 a heavy.
Get that ATR is going to go first. Yeah, I'm just using Beyond ATC too, just for a little ambiance here. Not too often there's VATSIM traffic available, or VATSIM coverage available for the New Zealand-Australia corridor there. Okay, windstock's looking good. It's just straight south. ATR has departed, so we'll call ready to go.
Qantas 139 a heavy, ready for departure, runway 20.
Qantas 139 a heavy, hold short of runway 20, departing traffic.
Hold short of runway 20, Qantas 139 a heavy.
Qantas 139 a heavy, runway 20, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, runway 20, Qantas 139 a heavy.
Okay, we'll line up and wait. We'll get the engineer to do the before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Air compressor 3. Off. Coolant air valve selector. Set to temperature control. Pressurization mode selector. Set for takeoff. Transponder turned on. Weather radar mode set to normal. Engine start switches Set to flight start. Strobe lights.
New Zealand 8429, contact
Landing
Christchurch,
lights.
departure 126.1.
Contact Christchurch, departure 126.1. New Zealand 842 Mike.
Extended and on. Before takeoff checklist. Completed.
Okay, so we're just line up and wait for now. Before takeoff checklist is complete. Yeah, the sounds too are pretty decent on this airplane. I would say overall a pretty good package for the price. Like I said, I rented it for a day for $2, and after one flight I didn't hesitate spending $10 on this airplane. Okay, we're lined up. Not sure why we're waiting for takeoff clearance here, but
New Zealand 327, go around, fly runway center line, maintain 2,000 feet.
Going around, fly runway, center line, maintain 2,000 feet. New Zealand 327.
New Zealand 327, contact Christchurch, approach 128.75, top 2 in a bit.
Contact Christchurch, approach 128.75. New Zealand 327.
somebody on the go around.
139 heavy, Christchurch Tower, wind 200 degrees, 7 knots, fly heading 200, runway 20, cleared for takeoff.
Fly heading 200, runway 20, cleared for takeoff, Qantas 139 heavy.
So heading 200 and clear for takeoff. Start setting some thrusts. There's traffic ahead of us, went around.
Setting takeoff power.
So the engineer will set takeoff power. He's going to set the EPRs up here.
80 knots.
Check.
V1. Rotate.
Set about 10 degrees.
Gear up.
Okay, we'll get the gear up.
Speed check. Select flaps up.
Flaps are up.
Qantas 139 heavy, contact Christchurch, departure 126.1.
And we'll accelerate to about 250.
Departure 126.1, Qantas 139 heavy.
Setting
We'll just
launch
fly the heading 200.
Departure Qantas 139 heavy, passing 1,000.
And he said they'd climb power for us.
Qantas 139 heavy, Christchurch departure, identified. Climb flight level 160.
Climb flight level 160, Qantas 139 heavy.
Okay, 160.
Qantas 139 heavy, turn right, heading 265.
Turn right, heading 265, Qantas 139 heavy.
All aircraft be advised, information Lima now current.
And right heading 265.
New Zealand 842 Mike. Contact Christchurch control 129.4, bye-bye. Contact Christchurch control 129.4. New Zealand 842 Mike.
Okay, we're a little bit fast. Give the engineer to do the after takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist. Landing gear. Up and set to on. Engine start switches.
Let's open up our
Completed.
okay, after takeoff checklist is complete. Yeah, I'm going a little bit fast here. Okay, there's our heading. altitude, we're climbing up through 8,000 feet right now. So the altimeter is standard outside, but inside this is where you get your 1,000-foot increments there. So we're just flying the heading. We're left of track right now. They're probably going to clear us direct to our first point there. So if I want to get the autopilot on, first I can go down to the flight director and I can put the flight director on heading mode since we're flying a heading. I can set a pitch bar towards what we're kind of flying right now. So right about there. And that's just flight director guidance. It's not giving me anything, so it's telling me I got to go a little bit left to get my heading. There we go. So that's looking good. Now if I want to actually have the autopilot fly heading, I would have to go turn the autopilot on here. So I'll turn the autopilot on. It's going to be in manual mode, and then I have to go to heading, and now it'll actually fly the heading.
Roger, heading direct Vanda, then resume on navigation, Qantas 139 heavy, thanks.
Okay, direct Vanda, which is our first waypoint. So there's two ways you can do it. If I go from here, I want to change waypoint, so I'll go from 0 to 1, and then it's going to center up and insert, and then now it's going to fly. Now I can go to nav mode, and nav mode down here, and it's going to fly our nav track to Vanta. Okay, we're through transition, so we'll set standard 2992 or 1013, and we're cleared up to 320. There's 320. So I'm climbing a little bit slow, so I would just use the pitch now to control the pitch. So I'll pitch down a little bit to try to keep my speed at around 250. And I'll pitch down a little bit more. So you can see the flight director and the autopilot are both showing nav, which is correct for the what we're doing right now. Pitch down a little bit more. Keep my 250. We're cleared up to 320. So our track is going to be, so if we go to our track, it's going to be 295, and then if we subtract the variation, it will be, and the variation for be on this chart somewhere, was 25 degrees. So we subtract 25 degrees from that, so that would be 270. So I'll put a course in at 270. And you can see we're crabbed a little bit left, so let's check the wind. So the wind's 191 at 63. So the wind's coming from there, so that's why we're crabbed so much to the left there. So that's looking good. So 270, put our heading up there. Speed's looking good, a little bit slow still. Just put a little bit more pitch down. There's the black smoke coming out of these engines. So we got 10,000 feet to go. So when we hit 1, it should automatically cycle over from 1 to 2 would be our next waypoint. So if we go to the SEPA page here, you see we're going direct to Vanda now, and then it should cycle Vanda to Ceylon for our next, which is waypoint 2 in the INS. Yeah, it's a huge wing. I think it's probably so big because they had to carry so much fuel, and it was before the days when they could design the high efficient wings. This is all done with slide rules and paper charts or paper diagrams. A little bit of pitch down, keep our speed. So we're 26,000 feet. We'll level off at 32. So the best way to level off this airplane is once you get 1,000 feet, the engineer will make a 1,000-foot call, and it's just to keep adjusting your pitch down so that you reduce your rate of climb substantially. So you want to get it down to about a good 500 foot per minute rate of climb. It'll last a little bit, and then you just watch the altimeter, and then once you hit the altitude you want to fly at, you just hit your alt hold button here. So we'll see that when we level off here. Beautiful departure over the New Zealand mountains. Early morning flight. This plane comes with 3 versions too. You have the standard INS version, and it's just a inertial nav system. And then you also have a FMS version, which uses a basic FMS, which is really nice. And then you also have the GPS, where you can load in the GSN 530. So you have 3 different options for flying this airplane. So we're 30,000 feet, 2,000 feet to go. I'll start reducing the climb rate here a little bit. Get our speed back to 250. Coming up on 1,000 to go.
1,000 to go.
So I'll reduce the climb rate down to about 500 feet per minute. So pitching forward a little bit, we'll accelerate, which we want to anyway. Keep the pitch coming forward. So nice slow climb now for the last 1,000 feet. Accelerating. We're planning on cruising at Mach 8.2. Feet to go. Make sure we're on standard pressure 2992. Keep the pitch coming down. see the pitch bar, it's only commanding what I have dialed in here. So if I want to dial that pitch bar down, I have to do it manually. Accelerate nicely. Once we get up close to 80, I'll start bringing the power back as well. So we get ready to level off here. Feet to go, speed's coming up nicely. Feet to go.
Setting climb power.
Okay, we'll get ready to hit that altitude button. And there we go. At altitude, I'll start bringing the power back a little bit. We're level at 32,000 feet, almost at 82, so I'm just going to set initially about 85% is a good place to start for your power, and then we'll let it stabilize out here. Okay, so there's no other checks we have to do right now. See how far we got to go till our first waypoint. So distance 180 miles to go. There's our first waypoint, Vanda, we're heading to. Now we're not on the line because we got cleared direct while we're over here, and you can see the crab on, so once we get by Vanda, we should be on our track after that. Okay, we're at 0.82. Just gonna tweak the power back a little bit so we don't accelerate anymore. Okay, I think we can get the seatbelts off. And no smoking, yeah. I guess they're allowed smoking back in the 60s. If we go to the engineer page, there's no checks that we have to do right now. So after takeoff checklist, next is going to be the descent preparation checklist. So looking good. Hey, Mr. Anderson. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Yeah, it is awesome plane to fly. I'm having a lot of fun flying this plane. It's nice going back old school with the INSs. Believe it or not, I flew a plane that did oceanic crossings with INSs exclusively before we had GPS. So it's taking me back a bit. Now mind you, we had dual INSs, this only has one. And then eventually they did add a separate GPS which you could update the INS to, but because you get a lot of drift with these INSs, so when you were doing these flights in real life, you could have quite a bit of drift. I would fly across the Atlantic. It'd be nothing for us to be 7 or 8 miles off course when we hit the other side of the Atlantic Ocean over a 5-6 hour flight. And that's why the airways used to be so spread out back in those days. Okay, so the power seems to be holding 8.2 pretty good. sunrise over New Zealand. So there's not going to be a lot of radio chatter, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on acceleration mode. So I just have a button on the panel here that I'm going to hit sim rate up to 4 times. So I go to 2 times sim rate. Actually, I'll just do 2 for now. And 2 is pretty stable. You can fly around, save yourself quite a bit of time on these long routes. And I'll just take it up to 4, and you can see it starts to get a little bit jumpy at 4. You definitely don't want to go above 4 though. If I take it up to 8, you can see it gets really jumpy. So I'm going to go back to 4 here. You can see it's a little bit pitchy. Actually, I'll just go back to 2. Okay, what do we got here? So let's go back to our SIVA. We're still going direct to Vanda. So when we come up to our next track, if I go to my flight plan here, we can do a fuel check at Vanda. So at Vanda, we should have 39.8 thousand pounds of fuel and have used 8.2. Our next track from Vanda to Ceylon is going to be a true track of 280 and a magnetic track of 300. So we'll have to set 300 in our course selector window. And the distance is going to be 325 miles. So we just hit coming up on Vanda. We should be getting to our next, you can see we're going 1 to 2 now, so it's automatically switched from 1 to 2. And we can go to our track is 296, so that's close enough. So we subtract 20 for that. It'll be 276. And our distance, 320, we had 325, so that's good. Our fuel, we've used just over 8,000. And we have just under 1,000, just over, so about 40,000 pounds of gas. So we have good fuel load. We need 39.8, we have around 40. Have to have used just over 8,000 pounds, and that's good. So we're looking good. Track is a little bit off what was on the flight plan. That's fine. You know, if it's within usually 3 degrees, it's 4 degrees off, but that's okay. And then now, if you look on the thing, we are flying pretty much on the track there, Vanda to Ceylon. Yeah, so let's go look at the SIVA here, different things you can get. So there's your present position. So that's updating as we fly. Cross-track error, we have no cross-track error. Our heading is 288 true. Remember, all these are true on here. Everything is true, not magnetic. Waypoint info, so you can adjust your waypoints here. You have your distance and time, so we have 295 to our next waypoint, and it's going to take 34 minutes. You can get your wind here, 171 and 81, so we've got a nice crosswind. That's why we have so much crab on here. And you can get our track. True track is 296, so we're flying magnetic 276, and our that's our status of our INS nav status. So 5 is a good status for the INS. And then we have it in auto mode, so it's automatically going to go between subsequent waypoints here. Yeah, so nice little unit here actually. And right now we have 8 of the waypoints used. So if we go to waypoints, there's nothing in waypoint 9 right now. 8 is our last waypoint. And if we go to the CEVA page on here, you can see it shows we're going from waypoint 1 to waypoint 2. You can also use this to go direct to, say they had us go direct to booked here, then we could go, if you want to go direct booked in the thing, you would just change waypoint and you would go 0 to waypoint number 3. So 0 would be your present position and waypoint 3, so you put 0, 3, and then you'd insert and then you'd be going direct. But you can also do it up here as well. So you can request, you can just go direct to, and it would put 0 to 3 in your box for you. Let's just ask if we can go direct to booked, and
Qantas 139 heavy, request direct to fix.
might not let us on an oceanic on here.
Roger, say fix name.
Request direct to book it. Qantas 139 heavy.
Qantas 139 heavy, booklet is too far from your current position to allow safe sequencing. Unable to direct booklet at this time.
Okay, well, I guess he's not going to let us go, but that's how we would do it. So if he gave us direct book it, I could go waypoint change, go 0 to 3, insert, or you could just go up here, you could just hit the direct to, and it would do the same thing for you. Okay. So I'll try to increase the sim rate up to 4 here. Should hold pretty steady. And then while we're cruising here, let's go get some weather for Sydney. Whoops. I'd have to go there. Okay, we've got Sydney info, weather, right now 3506, just a few clouds, 1036. I get the ATIS from beyond ATC here. Yeah, the ATIS temperature, winds are 3406. Temperature is 11, 1036. They're using 3-4 right and left. Transition level is 110. So we can probably plan the radar vectors for the ILS. So if we go up to the charts, Sydney approach. Oh, this is that's a, get rid of your tablet there, okay. Confirm that. ILS 3-4 left. Okay, 110.1, so we can put that in here for our nav. Sydney VOR is 12.1. We can put that on the other side. So when we get a little bit closer, we'll have some DME for Sydney. And they'll show up down here. And then we have our VOR needles over here as well. And our course is going to be 335. So basically straight across, once we get in, we hit Rickney, we're going to go Marlin. TSAT's right over the airport. It's basically right over the VOR as well. And then it'll be hopefully radar vectors for runway 34 left. see what we end up getting. I flew the, Mr. Anderson, yeah, I flew the P3. Basically Lockheed Electra. So when I first got on the P3, it had dual INSs, and they just got the GPS for it. But it wasn't integrated into the airplane. It was just a standalone GPS. So all we were able to use it for was to do updates on the INS positions, which was really useful because they drift a lot. And you can actually, that's one of the settings you can use in your settings here. If you go to INS settings up here, you can actually have it just drift simulation. So let's just turn it on and see how much we drift off course for this here. And like I said, it wouldn't be unrealistic to be 5 to 10 miles off track when you got to the other side of the pond there. But if you were doing GPS updates, you could keep it pretty accurate. So basically the navigators would do every hour they would just do a GPS update on the INSs. So 4x sim rate seems to be holding pretty steady here. A little bit pitchy though. Oh, that's one thing the engineer didn't do is shut off our lights. Because there is no climb check for the flight engineer to do. Yeah, so if you get this plane, I recommend getting the Sim3 profile and the GSX profile so you can use it better in the sim. Lots of great liveries out there too. Like I said, I picked this one up on flightsim.to. Yeah, Mr. Anderson, it would be awesome if somebody could make a P3 for the sim. It would be a lot of fun to fly. I don't see it happening, but it's a pretty complicated airplane. But maybe somebody will do it. The closest thing you can get to it is the Hercules, and no one's really made a really good Hercules, like a older model Hercules. Blackbird Simulations made a J model Hercules, which is pretty good. But yeah, it'd be nice to see an older style turboprop like a Electra or a P3 in there. Yeah, so the 4x sim rate's going to make this crossing a little bit faster for us. So what we need to do, figure out, so there's no VNAV on this, so I need to figure out where I want to start my descent. So we do have DME. That might not pop up early enough, but I'm only at 32,000 feet. I'm going to want to go down to 3,000 feet for the ILS. And so basically the ILS would be coming out this way.
Qantas 139 heavy, contact Brisbane Centre 120.55.
Contact Brisbane Centre 120.55. Qantas 139 heavy. Bye-bye. Brisbane Centre, Qantas 139 heavy, flight level 320.
I want to figure out my descent, so I'll add 10 miles. I need to, if I do about 2,000 feet per minute, I'll be able to start, basically take my altitude I want to lose. So I want to lose 29,000 feet. I can take 3 times that, so we'll say 90 miles, plus 10 miles for, because the ILS is on this side. So I'll say 100 miles back, I want to start my descent. No later than that anyway. So if I just look on the, if I just look on the flight plan and look at Marlin to TSAT is 44 miles, and then Rickney is 25 miles. Rickney to Marlin is 25 miles. Oh no, that's to the fur. Okay, that's giving me that distance there. So 44. So that's 69. Rickney, 79. 86. So I would say 20 miles before Rickney, we should plan on starting our descent. That should give us enough time to get down. So that's your descent planning. We'll brief the approach once we get a little bit closer as well. We'll get the latest weather. Yeah, so this sim rate's getting us across nice and fast. Hey Anthony, yeah, the clouds are going by fast. I'm on a, I'm on 4 times sim rate right now. So just to speed things up to go across the water here. So I sped it up once we level off, and then I'm going to slow it down once we get by Pugla here, and then we'll just do a normal speed rate for arrival. So it's just saving it a little bit of time. Like I said, if you're doing the long haul flights with this airplane and you're going to speed up the sim rate, I would recommend going above 4 times sim rate. It's about as high as this plane can take. Again, I'll just bump it up to 8 real quick, and you can just see it starts getting unstable. Yeah, so I wouldn't, definitely wouldn't go up to 8 times sim rate. Yeah, no kidding. I wish I could have done that 4 times speed some of those crossings as well. Yeah, so it's a no-brainer for picking up this airplane. The price is right, and iniBuilds and Working Title have done an awesome job with this update to the 737. When it first came out a few years ago, the airplane heaven version of the 707 was horrible. I did a trial of it. I think they had a free trial on the go, and I wasn't even willing to spend $10 on it, but when this plane came out, there was a rental option. I rented it for a day for $2, and like I said, I did 1 flight, and I go, okay, yeah, this is way better. So I bought the plane right away. Like I said, the price was right. Yeah, it's an excellent simulation. I agree there, Anthony. I mean, I wouldn't say it's study level, but most things work. The flight engineer panel, having the flight engineer assistance is great. Like, I think it's all around a well-built airplane. And it's fun to fly, like it's old school flying. And you can put a GPS in here if you want to, but I think it's more fun to fly with the INS, or even the FMS was pretty good actually. I did a couple of flights with the FMS. You can see we're going from 2 to 3 now. And our 41 miles to go. Our track was 302. So if you want to find your variations, I'll show you on sim brief here. So if you want to, so I'll bring up sim brief here. And if you go in and you just look at, you want to see what your variation should be at booked here, and you just click on it, and it's going to tell you your variation is 17 east. So that means you just subtract 17 for your. So our next track out of here should be. We'll see when we get to booked what it is, but we'll subtract 17. That should be our magnetic course that we're going to dial in here. So we're just coming up to booked. This should switch from 3 to 4, which I think it already has. Yeah. And you can see our track is 303, so we need to subtract 17. So 287. So you can see the variation changed quite a bit. It was 25 when we left Sydney, and then now we're booked at 17. So like I said, once we get by Bugla, I'm going to bring the sim rate back down to normal, and we'll start setting up for our arrival into Sydney. Yeah, I agree. Using the flight engineer there, Anthony, is awesome feature to have on here. And yes, you can do it without the flight engineer. You just use the checklist. So if you go to the EFB and you just use the checklist in here, and it has all the checklist procedures, but it's very time consuming because you have to move around the cabin and move to the flight engineer station, do everything yourself. So you can do everything just using the normal checklist yourself, but it's where it took me, 10 minutes to get the airplane going with the flight engineer's help. It would probably take me 30 plus minutes to go through the checklist on my own. And I did go through the checklist once, just kind of shows me where everything is and what everything does. So it's helpful to do that as well. Yeah, good point. The captain never dirtied his hands there. On the P3, I did fly with a flight engineer, and I mean, this is realistic having the flight engineer do that stuff for you. Like, the flight engineer would do a lot of the checklists. He would work the throttles for us. So there was, it's very realistic to having a flight engineer do a lot of this stuff for you. Because you got to remember, this plane had 3 crew. It didn't have, wasn't single pilot. So Yeah, so like I said, a great series of flights to do if you want to do some Qantas flights is the Qantas to London flight was a nice route to fly. It was Qantas to London. They flew Sydney to London. It was Sydney to Darwin, then Singapore, Bangkok, Calcutta, Karachi, which was Tehran, Bahrain, Cairo, Rome, London. So that would have been the old Qantas 1 flight back in the early 60s. And then the reverse when you flew the other way. Must have died off a bit there. Yeah, the wind's died right off, so you can see we don't have hardly any drift on anymore. Yeah, he was the auto throttle. Same thing when I flew the P3, we just tell the engineer set horsepower 1200, and then he would set it. Back in those days, you really needed the flight engineer flying these airplanes. We didn't have auto throttle. We didn't have GPS coupled FMSs. I mean, there was a lot more work back in those days. Okay, we're on our last leg here, just going by Bugla. I'll slow the sim rate down to 2 for now. And we got our distance to Bugla. Time. So we got 127 and 15 minutes to go. Yeah, Lockheed Electra was a great plane. Well, I flew the P3 version of it, so it was a little more modern than the Electra, but basically the guts of the Electra. Okay, so we figured out 20 miles from Rigney, we want to start our descent, unless they give it to us earlier. Radar vectors for the ILS, so we'll brief that approach right now while we're... so let's go to the charts. Plan on ILS 34 left. I'll just check the latest ATIS, make sure it hasn't changed. Still showing 34 left. If we can dial in 1855 just to have that ready to go. So we'll get some ATIS when we get a little closer. Okay, information Charlie. Yeah, the P3 had a lot of power too, there, Anthony. Yeah, it had the Ellison engines as well, and those big props. It had, I mean, the P3 low level, we could do over 400 knots indicated, and I think the VNE was 412 or something like that. And yeah, those props, big props, a lot of power. Okay, I'm going to slow the sim rate down to 1 so we can brief our approach. So we've got about 55 miles till we start our descent. And so we're going to plan the ILS runway 34. So we have course is 335. The frequency is 110.1. We have dialed that on the left nav 1. Of course, it'll be 335 when we need it. We'll start off at 3,000 feet, probably across the FAF at 1900. We don't need the minimums, but the decision altitude would be 220 feet, so I can put that on the rad alt just for awareness. Missed approach will just be going straight ahead. Not used to these Lido charts here. So missed approach 335 at 500 feet, left 320, climb to 3,000. So that will be it for the approach. Like I said, we'll start our descent about 100 miles back. And then to start the descent, all you need to do is, oh look, I got my speed running up here on me. It's because I think the engineer set the power for me when I put the sim rate up to 8. It thought we were climbing, so he set the power up to climb thrust. So I'll just reset it back to about 85. Yeah, so to get to your descent going, all you need to do is disengage the altitude hold. You can disengage it on the flight director as well. And then dial your pitch down.
Qantas 139 heavy.
So he's asking us when we want to start our descent, so we'll start it, said no later than 20, so we'll probably start at, say, 30 back. Yeah, so you disengage the alt hold, and then you just adjust your pitch down, bring a little bit of thrust off, and then start your descent, and we'll aim for about 2,000 feet a minute down. Yeah, Anthony, where was I based for the P3? I flew the P3 for the Canadian Air Forces, and I was based out of the East Coast, out of Nova Scotia. Okay, transition level, so I'll just read the ATIS off here just quickly. Again, winds light, 3106, just a few clouds, 11 degrees, 1036 is our altimeter. And transition is 11,000 feet. And 3-4 left and right. So we might have to change to 3-4 right, but that's not a big deal. So we'll start our descent at 15 miles. think after this flight, I'll owe the FE a beer on this leg because he's done a lot of work for me. Got a trim disengage light. I don't know if that's... see up here, both of our things are in agreement. If I shut off the altitude hold, it's just going to be the pitch indicator. You can see it's shut off the light there, so it just tells me I don't have pitch set for altitude hold in my flight director. Really weird autopilot system. Okay, so we'll request our descent.
Qantas 139 a heavy, approaching our top descent, ready for descent.
Qantas 139 a heavy, expect runway 34 left.
Expect runway 34 left, Qantas 139 a heavy.
So we're going to get 34 left, looks like. But he didn't give us a lower altitude. So I'll turn this back on for now. Center up our heading bug for when we get on vectors here. Well, he asked us when we wanted to start our descent. We told him we did. So I don't know why he's not clearing us to a lower altitude here. Yeah, there's been some nice liveries popping up on flights in .to. I just picked up a Lufthansa one, and this Qantas one's really nice. There's a Aer Lingus one that just popped up too. Yeah, look at the size of that wing. They're huge.
Qantas 139 heavy, descent flight level 240.
Descent flight level 240, Qantas 139 a heavy.
Okay, 240. So there's our alerter set. We'll disengage the alt hold, pitch down, and we'll bring off some power, and then we'll use the pitch wheel here to adjust our pitch down till we get about 2,000 feet per minute down. And I'll keep bringing the power back. So there we go. More than 2,000 feet per minute since he started a little bit late. And I'll try to maintain 280 thereabouts. But we got DME coming up too now for the for Sydney. Okay, we got the descent going. We'll get the FE to do the descent checklist for descent preparation.
Descent preparation checklist. Air compressors.
that's good. Let's see our track going into our next leg here. So 2-3-1 magnetic track into T-sets. So we'll draw our course in. So leave Marlin, so we are over Marlin right now, heading 264, and when able, direct Sydney. So we're basically going direct Sydney on this track here. Basically head towards direct to the airport now, so. And I might have had that track wrong. Let me double check that. Marlin to T-set, oh sorry, 264. Better.
1,000 to go.
Okay, 1,000 to go. So I'll start reducing the pitch or level off.
Qantas 139 heavy, descend flight level 160.
Descend flight level 160, Qantas 139 heavy.
Okay, 160, I'll get the pitch going again, back down to 2,000 feet per minute. And we're 60 miles back, so it's not too bad. So the next checklist for the flight engineer will be the approach checklist. I'll get him to do that after we do the transition at 11,000 feet.
Qantas 152, contact Melbourne Centre 124.0.
Set on 124.0, Qantas 152.
See if we're drifting off track here a little bit. Yeah, you can see I put the drift on there, so you can see we're drifting off our track here a little bit. So and that's realistic with the INS. Okay, descended nicely, 20,000, so we 17,000 feet to go. Got 50 miles, yeah, this should be good. Maybe just increase the rate of descent just a little bit. So when we get to
Turn left, heading 225.
Turn left, heading 225, Qantas 139 heavy.
So I'll center my heading bug. We'll switch the flight director to heading and the autopilot to heading. And then we'll adjust our heading bug to 225. now we're on vectors. Get the descent going a little bit faster. So we can get...
139er heavy, contact London Centre 129.8, have a good morning.
Centre on 129.8, Qantas 139er heavy, bye-bye.
So let's go to our approach chart now.
Melbourne Centre, Qantas 139er heavy, passing flight level 177, descending to flight level 160.
Qantas 139er heavy, Melbourne Centre, identified.
1,000 to go.
Qantas 139er heavy, turn left, heading 215.
Turn left, heading 215, Qantas 139er heavy.
215, 1,000 to go.
Qantas 7524, contact Sydney approach 128.3.
Reduce our pitch. Get ready to hit alt hold.
Victor Hotel, November Oscar uniform, turn left, heading 075, climb flight level 238. Turn left, heading 075, climb flight level 238.
There's alt hold.
November Oscar uniform.
So we'll select alt hold on our flight director as well. And I'll add a little bit of power to keep it 250. So definitely challenging to fly this airplane, even with the autopilot. Okay, so let's set up for the ILS. So course is 335. So and 110.1 is set. We need to go to Warlow and put our course in of 335.
Qantas 139 heavy, descend to 9,000 feet, QNH 1037.
Descend to 9,000 feet, QNH 1037, Qantas 139er heavy.
So 9,000 feet.
139 heavy, turn right, heading 225.
Turn right, heading 225, Qantas 139er heavy.
225. And let's get alt hold off. Alt hold off. Pitch down. And some power off. Okay, so we have our course 335. We're on Warlow. We have the localizer tuned up. No DME yet because we're too far out. And I'll just put it back on the map mode here, so we can have a general idea of where the ILS is going to be coming in here. So it's kind of taking us out this way. Get the descent going a little bit more. So transition is at 11,000 feet. We'll dial in the altimeter of 1036. 1037, sorry, is the latest.
Victor Hotel, November Oscar uniform, turn left, heading 020.
Yeah, so when we get on the ground,
Victor Hotel, November Oscar uniform.
we're going to be landing on 34 left. Probably exit Alpha 2 or Alpha 3, and we're going to be parking up here. And we'll pick a gate that doesn't have any bridge because GSX works better without any bridge. So it's because of the nature of the airplane. Probably didn't use bridges back in those days. So that looks good. So that's the plan for that.
Qantas 139 heavy, contact Sydney approach 124.4.
Contact Sydney approach 124.4, Qantas 139er heavy. Sydney approach, Qantas 139er heavy, good morning. Passing flight level 120, descending to 9,000 feet with information Delta.
Qantas 139 heavy, City approach, QNH 1037, expect radar vectors for ILS approach, runway 34 left.
QNH 1037, expect
Okay, so we'll set 1037. It's set, and it's also set in our altitude selector, and we're cleared to 9,000 feet. So now that we've done that transition, let's go back to our flight engineer and have him do the descent approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Pressurization mode selected. Set to landing. Pneumatics. Set. Passenger signs. Is set to on. Landing lights. Extended to 139 heavy. Descend to 7,000 feet.
Descend to 7,000 feet. Qantas 139 heavy.
7,000. I got a speed brake out to get the speed under control.
On. Speed brake.
Turn right, heading 250. Qantas 139 heavy.
Checklist. Completed.
250 on the heading. And we're going through 10,000 feet, so I got the speed brake out to help slow down. We'll have to pitch up a little bit too. And we're cleared to 7,000 feet.
Red Air 401 Heavy. Contact City Tower 120.5. Contact Tower 120.5. Red Air 401 Heavy. Bye bye.
Okay, speed's looking good.
Qantas 139 Heavy. Turn right heading 310. Intercept the 34 left localizer. Descend to 6,500 feet.
Turn right, heading 310. Intercept the 34 left localizer. Descend to 6,500 feet. Qantas 139 heavy.
310, intercept the localizer. We're still too far out yet to pick it up, so
Qantas 139 Heavy. Turn right heading 305. Maintain 6,500 feet until established.
1,000 to go.
Cleared ILS approach. Runway 3.
here we have it now.
Turn right, heading 305, 6,500 feet until established. Clear ILS approach runway 34 left. Qantas 139 heavy.
Okay, we can select nav on both autopilot so we can track the localizer. And it might not be doing it, might have to select ILS. So I'm going to go heading mode, back to heading mode here. We'll just get it set up ourselves. Yeah, so I think we have to select glide slope manual to get the ILS to capture. Okay, we got 1,000 feet to go. So I'm going to reduce the pitch rate. We're cleared for the approach, so I'm going to go down to 3,000 feet. Get back on the localizer, and let's go to auto glide slope. And now it's going to track the localizer inbound, and then when it picks up the glide, we got the glide slope there active now, so I'll just reduce the pitch until we pick that up. Speed's going back nicely. Yeah, definitely a lot of work to fly this airplane. So 500 feet, and we should pick up the glide path. So we're going to put the auto glide slope for both. Okay, good.
QNH 1037. Expect radar vectors for ILS approach. Runway 34 left. Rec
Glide
6413.
slope alive.
Glide slope's live. Speed's come back nicely. So we'll just reduce the pitch and fly right into the glide slope.
Set flaps 14.
Okay, engineer says we can set flap 14. Yeah, so I thought nav mode would just intercept the localizer, but I guess you have to have an ILS to get the localizer.
195 knots.
Flaps 25. So the engineer is just telling us that. We have to select it ourselves. Okay, we're just kind of leveling off till we get the glide slope. Glide slope should come active here fairly soon. And you can see it's just captured now. And we're still quite high. We're at 5,500 feet. Okay, we'll report established.
Qantas 139 a heavy, established ILS 34 left.
Look at those flaps. That's not even full flaps yet. Wow. Okay, we need to set our speed bugs for our so data card landing, and we'll set the bugs for landing. So our ref speed is going to be 133 as the altitude alerter, just leaving 3,000 feet there.
Jetstar 500 Sydney approach, QNH 1037, expect radar vectors for ILS approach, runway 34 left. QNH 1037.
So we got forelope and glide slope both captured
Runway 34 left.
on our flight director and our autopilot.
Qantas 139 heavy, contact City Tower 120.5.
Over to Tower 120.5, Qantas 139 a heavy.
That's the gear horn, so if I bring the thrust back too much and the gear is not down.
Heavy ILS approach, runway 34 left.
So let's bring the gear down.
Qantas 139 a heavy, City Tower. Qantas 139 a heavy.
Okay, we got the gears out. Speed's going back nicely.
5 knots. Set landing flaps.
Select landing flaps.
Velocity 404 Sydney Tower, wind 300 degrees, 7 knots, runway 34 left.
Look at those huge flaps.
Runway 34 left, cleared for takeoff, velocity 404.
Shooting 427.
Okay, we'll get the engineer to run a landing checklist.
Contact City departure 123.0, shooting 427 Delta.
Test cards. Closed. Engine start switches. Set to flight start. Passenger signs. On. Air compressor 3. Off.
Speed's coming back.
Set. Before landing checklist. Completed.
Okay, before landing checklist is complete. The missed approach altitude is set, and we're just waiting for landing clearance from the tower. Speed's going back nicely.
Departure 123.0.
Contact City departure 123.0.
So when you land, the speed brake's not automatically. You have to deploy it yourself. There's no auto speed brake, so you just have to move the speed brake lever yourself.
Qantas 139 a heavy, wind 300 degrees, 7 knots, runway 34 left, clear to land.
Runway 34 left, cleared to land. Qantas 139 a heavy.
Okay, we're clear to land. Speed's looking good. So I'll just disengage the autopilot. So autopilot's disengaged. You can see the autopilots are on. We still have our flight director, so those are still active.
feet.
1,000 feet, missed approach altitude, 3,000 feet is set. The plane hand flies really nicely too, I think. I think overall, working title and iniBuilds did a great job with this airplane. A little bit high. There's some power back. There we go.
feet.
A little bit low. There we go. Just flying the Bazzies.
Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Just touchdown, speed brake,
Spoilers up.
reverse.
Velocity 551, ready for departure. Runway 34 left.
Velocity 551.
We'll take a reverse, get on the brakes.
Line up and wait. Runway 34 left. Velocity 551.
Qantas 139, a heavy exit left at Alpha 1.
Exit left at Alpha 1, Qantas 139 a heavy.
This might be Alpha 3, but I'll take this anyway, so we get off the runway. The brakes can go down. Yeah, it wasn't too bad of a landing. Thanks there, Mr. Anderson. I'll take it.
Qantas 139, a heavy, contact ground 126.5.
Ground 126.5, Qantas 139 a heavy.
Okay, we'll get the engineer start the after landing checklist.
After landing checklist.
Look at the flaps moving up.
Landing
Speed
lights.
brakes retracted. We'll request
Qantas 139 a heavy, request
to a
taxi
gate in the
to
vicinity
gate.
where we want to park.
Strobe lights.
Qantas 139
On.
heavy. Welcome to Sydney
Taxi
Airport.
lights.
Say parking or advise if
Turned
need
on.
assignment.
Starting the APU. Flaps. Up and no lights. Speed brake lever. Pull forward.
Request gate 10,
Window.
Qantas 139 a heavy.
Off.
Qantas 139 a heavy. Taxi to stand 10 via
Set
Alpha
to
2. Alpha, Golf
Golf
in.
radar.
Alpha, in 2.
Set to standby.
Taxi to stand 10
Engine
via Alpha
start
2,
switches.
Alpha, Golf into Alpha, into Qantas 139 a heavy.
Galley power.
Jetstar 745.
So it'll be Alpha 2 Alpha across the runway.
Jetstar 745. Taxi to holding point
Half
Lima.
fuel boost
Runway
pumps.
34.
Just taking up Alpha, we're going to park right here.
Charlie, Bravo 8, Bravo, Lima cross runway 07.
APU
Taxi
generator.
to holding point Lima, runway 34 left via Bravo 4, Charlie, Bravo 8, Bravo, Lima cross runway 07,
After
Jetstar
landing
745.
checklist. Completed.
Okay, I'll get GSX to get us our parking spot up here.
Velocity 9013.
And we'll park right here.
Velocity 9013. Taxi to holding point Lima, runway 34 left via Bravo 4, Golf Bravo, Lima cross runway 07. Taxi to holding point Lima.
Yeah, I've never flown the real airplane, obviously, the 707, but I'd imagine just based on the beefiness of it and the momentum of the airplane, it would probably be a fairly nice airplane to land.
Singapore 212 Navy, SG53 request pushback.
The few I've done in the sim here have been not too bad.
Pushback and engine start approved.
So we'll go back to the flight engineer. So after landing checklist is complete. We're just going to park up here. So again, ideal, you don't want to park at a gate, you want to park at a off gate where you're just going to use stairs. Does GSX have any negative effects on the sim? Well, it can have some negative effects, but I think overall for the immersion it's worth it. It doesn't affect frame rates too much, I don't think. Not as much as the traffic does, or the bigger airports like this. So there's our parking stand there. Our ground crew is waiting. Yeah, Beyond ATC did a pretty good job getting us in here today, I thought.
Singapore 212 Heavy, ready to taxi to the active. Singapore 212 Heavy, taxi to holding point Alpha 6, runway 34 left, fired in 5, 19, Juliet.
Handles really well on the ground too, I think.
Taxi to holding point Alpha 6, runway 34 left, fire in 5, Yankee Juliet. Alpha cross runway 07, Singapore 212 Heavy. Jetstar 745, contact City Tower 120.5 per day.
Contact Tower 120.5, Jetstar 745, have a good morning.
I know this stand is, we need to go a little further than it says. So I'm just going to go a little bit past where it says here. Yeah, I know it's too far, but it's not far enough if you stop me where you want me to stop. That should be good right there. Just set the parking brake. We'll just make sure we're over the line here. Yeah, so it's a little better. Okay, so we'll get the engineer to run through the shutdown checklist. Brakes are set.
Checklist. Air conditioning. Off. Engine 2, 3, and 4 turbo compressors. Off. Anti-ice switches. Set to off. Wing anti-ice. Off. Engine bleed air switches. Off. Transponder. Turned off. Weather radar mode. Off. Essential power selector. Set to APU. Engine start levers. Cut off.
Here we go.
Taxi lights. Off. Beacon light. Off. Emergency exit lights. Turned off. Passenger signs. Off. Fuel boost pumps. Off. AC auxiliary pumps. Off. Engine 2 and 3 hydraulic pumps. Turned off. Shutdown checklist. Completed.
Well, thanks, engineer. You've been really helpful on this trip. So GSX is going to get us all set up to deboard here. Yeah, so there you go. Awesome flight in the 707. Really enjoy flying it. Definitely a no-brainer to pick this airplane up for the cost. It's totally worth it, I think. Definitely fun doing some retro flying, going back to the 60s and flying some of these routes. And yeah, I think it's a great airplane, great addition to the sim. Well, if you enjoyed the video, thanks for joining me. Take time, hit that like and share, subscribe, sign up for notifications if you are not a subscriber. For those of you who subscribe, thanks for joining me. And yeah, this was a lot of fun, a little deviation from the Baron flights I've been doing lately. But next week I'll be back in the Baron and we'll be continuing on our Alaska trip up to delivering the plane to Barrow, Alaska. I think we're going to be in Washington State on the next leg up through Vancouver Island area. So it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, so definitely a great plane. Really enjoyed flying it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time on the channel. Oh yeah, I will try to pick, I saw that Red Wing scenery. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick it up, but that would be a good idea to pick up some of those sceneries from Red Wing. Definitely give a 1960s flair to a couple of airports. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for everyone joining me in the chat, and leave a comment if you pick this plane up and what you think of it. Definitely think it's, for the price, definitely a great addition to the sim. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time. Bandit out.